everybody, and welcome to this video. This video we will be discussing Comic-Con 2020, the highlights, what we enjoyed about Comic-Con, what we will be talking about that stood out in our minds. So earlier I made a video about Comic-Con and what to expect. This was based on an article from Variety. And now the weekend is over, Comic-Con is over. Now we're going to look back at Comic-Con at all the excitement. So one of the big topics that happened at Comic-Con, are you a fan of movies?
Not particularly, no. I haven't been to a movie theater in, let's say, 5 months.
Do you want to be a filmmaker?
Oh, God, no.
Well, I want to be a filmmaker. So there was this panel about Guillermo del Toro talking about filmmaking. I'm getting this article from Variety. It's called Guillermo del Toro on Filming During the Pandemic. You're operating a large surgical theater. And pretty much this was press for the movie that Guillermo del Toro produced, directed by Scott Cooper, called Antlers. So this is that scary movie where we saw the trailers, and the trailers are very vague about a boy who's curious about a deer. And this has got me hyped because supposedly the story is about a Wendigo.
Ooh, that's spooky.
I don't know much about a Wendigo.
I thought you saw Pet Cemetery. Was that what it was about, the Wendigo?
Well, in the book,
Tangentially?
you never knew if it was a Wendigo or not. They kept speculating, and fans, as well as the story, led you to believe that it was a Wendigo. But you never knew if it was it was left ominous. You didn't know if it was a Wendigo or a ghost story.
Spoiler for the game Until Dawn, it was a Wendigo. That game's like 4 years old.
Does that make you hallucinate?
No.
Because that's like supposedly what happened in Pet Cemetery, that hallucinations came from a Wendigo.
I don't recall hallucinations in that game that I didn't play but saw Let's Plays of. I'm going to say no.
How much did Let's Play save you? $60?
Yes, $60, and then, you know, if it was ever on sale, probably another 20 or 30. It must be on sale now. It must be one of those PlayStation greatest hits or whatever for $20.
Plus the downloadable content and microtransactions, you must have saved at least $200.
Wow, that's like another one of these.
Takes me back to college.
I mean, I see your hand, and I can only hope and pray that your hand was off camera when you did that. Cheers.
Supposedly
Precariously off screen.
So the movie Antlers has a lot of metaphors and symbolisms.
Antlers and the Wasp?
Yeah, there's this quote lifted from the article, lifted from Guillermo del Toro or the director Scott. I don't know who said this. It said, "The Wendigo, the more it eats, the more hungry it gets. And the more it eats, the weaker it gets." Oh, says del Toro. It's a metaphor for the instability that exists right now in our... Well, it just says exists right now, and I was going to say in our country, but maybe it exists all over the world, you know, because there's more to
If there's
this
one
world.
thing I've noticed about Americans, that they're supreme narcissists and don't think that any other country in the world exists. Our problems are the only ones that matter.
So then when you get into the filmmaking part of the article or the Comic-Con panel, is that coronavirus has delayed film production and strict guidelines need to be followed. But there's another problem. All these actors committed to certain projects, and because they're not working on those projects due to restrictions, the opportunity for them to film is expiring, and they're going to have to move on to other commitments they had. And that's something that Guillermo does.
But if everything got bottlenecked and got pushed back, then shouldn't everything be right as rain? Hey, everything got pushed back, so, you know, your commitments are still pushed back because they were forced to. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Because they said Guillermo del Toro is working on a movie, and he's got Bradley Cooper in it, and I think Tilda Swinton. It's about carnivals.
I thought it was about Rocket meeting the Ancient One.
And he has to follow strict guidelines as far as filming, but, you know, production was shut down for a while. So in theory and in reality, an actor like Bradley Cooper must have signed for maybe this project within this time period, then following that time period, another project. So as the expiration date approaches on his contract, he has to get ready for the next project.
Maybe I'm operating under the assumption that movie theaters still aren't going to be open for a while. Because if movie theaters aren't open, then if things can be made now, but theaters aren't showing anything, then theoretically you can continue to work on new stuff, but nothing's getting released. So then, eventually when things open up and things get back to normal, then whatever was on hold can, burst through the floodgates, and then whatever was in production can eventually catch up. I don't know. I'm very confused about all this. Is there going to be, a dead zone of movies, nothing came out this week, nothing got made or whatever? Or are we just going to have, an overflow of so much stuff going to come out, constantly for years to come?
I think what's going to happen is next year we're going to get an overflow of things that were supposed to come out this year. Plus, they're going to figure out how to film stuff because they're going to have to follow all those protocols, isolation, sanitation, or sanitizing.
Well, we'll see. Because right now we live in a world where Black Widow and Tomorrow Never Die Another Day James Bond is supposed to come out in the same month, November, which were supposed to be 6 months apart. So a lot of cuss is gonna come out in November or December. I don't even know what Top Gun Maverick's gonna do. A lot of the whole summer blockbuster season is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
And all that stuff's gonna get pushed around holiday season, maybe. I don't know if May, April movies are gonna come out in August, September. Are they gonna push everything back? Are they gonna wait the whole year, wait till the next summer blockbuster season? It's all weird, interesting, kind of. Everything's all vague and hazy.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna get a bottleneck of films that were supposed to come out earlier, and then we're gonna get another bottleneck of films that were rushed that are gonna seem very low quality.
And also when things, I don't even remember what the original topic is, but I don't care. Comic-Con, who cares? But so when things open up again, the only things that are gonna come out is garbage that the studios didn't have enough faith in to begin with, because they know people are gonna be apprehensive to go to the theaters. So it's just going to be garbage in the beginning, and they'll probably have inflated box offices because people are excited. The people that do want to go to the movie theaters are excited to go. So whatever that stupid Liam Neeson movie that nobody heard about that was supposed to open the same week when movie theaters were supposed to open up will open up when movie theaters open again and maybe get way inflated numbers, and then it'll be a bunch of schlocky garbage at the start of the season, and then 1 year after or 6 months after, when people get more comfortable, if things die down, then that's when the good movies are supposed to come out this year, come out next year. And then it would make sense for everything. See, everything feels like it got pushed back a year. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. And then whatever's supposed to come out in the following years is just going to be rushed. In college when you had to turn in a term paper and you waited till the last few days to work on it, and it doesn't have the same quality as if you would have spent a whole month on it.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm so interested about those dumping. This is always my favorite reference. It's a modern reference. It'll always be my favorite reference from here on out. But what do we do about the captive states of the world? The movies that are so meh, so uninteresting, so bland, and nobody went to see them, but they just dumped them at some point. I wonder what those movies are like. Where do those slot in when everything resumes back to normal?
You mean The Hunt?
Sure.
Which is the movie that
was the last meh movie?
Politicians don't want you to see because it hunts people that...
Politicians don't want you to see it because they don't know what it's about and they don't care.
It's about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms.
Isn't, The Hunt is probably not as, divisive or antagonizing as people assume. Well, there was, one movie, I think there was, a Thanksgiving-y movie that was essentially about, it's a comedy, I think, or maybe a dark comedy. It's it's like going to a family reunion at Thanksgiving, but it's post-election season. I think it's Ike Barinholtz. Maybe he directed it, the guy from Mad TV. Where he... Because I'm making this reference because I think Ike Barinholtz is in The Hunt. And it's just it's a dark comedy about meeting your family in Thanksgiving post an election, and half of your family hates you and the other half agrees with you or something. I don't know what tangent I'm making. Move on to the next topic.
No, but that makes sense. How that's what that movie The Hunt was pretty much about. Some people are going to agree with you and like it. Other people are going to hate it.
Mm-hmm. Or everybody forgot it came out.
I think they did, and I just refreshed everyone's mind. Good job, me.
Well, it was one of the last movies to come out, and I think it was one of the first movies to have like the at-home box office release outside of Trolls.
For 1 week, it had box office. And it didn't do as well as people thought. Because I know, like, certain news outlets that are political were pushing it. Hey, go watch this movie because the other party doesn't want you to see it.
That's what I want to see, a movie that'll make me miserable and remind me about the real world.
I think you want to set a reminder. Is that right?
Not quite just yet. Maybe another time.
I think you want to know how much time is left on the timer. Is that right?
Not quite yet. Remind me tomorrow, though.
I don't understand.
It's the simple phraseology there, Google Siri. Okay. Excuse me.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. There was a lot of Comic-Con to talk about. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it all in one video, so click on the next video for more Comic-Con discussions.